Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host. I am here with my co-host and co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We are in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. We have a really fun show lined up for you today because, you know, there are tons of tourist traps out there, and you would be wise, and I would be remiss if I wouldn't, tell you some ways to avoid these things and what you should do instead of these tourist traps and these large cities. We're talking places like San Francisco, Chicago, LA, New York, and not picking on anyone. We'll finish up in Vegas too, because Lord knows we got some touristy trap things here. We want to give you some alternatives to these things. And, I think living here in Las Vegas, Amy, has given us a different perspective on what tourist traps mean and what they are, and how
agree.
Best to spot them.
Yes.
And how best to avoid these things.
Right. And even now when our kids are adults and they are traveling more, they'll be in new places and they'll reach out to us and be, have you been here? Where should we go? What should we see? Because they have learned from us that just because a place is popular doesn't mean it's the best place to visit or to go when you're in a new city. So we want to give you some alternatives, ways to really experience these cities and not just be in a line to go do the same thing everybody else is doing.
And I'll say, like, the popular things, and I say this a lot, the popular things are popular for a reason, right? I mean, people like to do these things. And most of the stuff we'll talk about as far as tourist traps, most of them I think you should do at least once.
Right.
But then after that, if you go back to a city a number of times, especially places like LA, New York, these kind of places, you shouldn't be doing the same old, we'll talk about the Walk of Fame and in Hollywood and the same places in New York and everything. You should be looking for different things to do. And I want to point out that I'm not really going to talk about places to eat and like bars to hang out in, but this is actual attractions you should go see, things you can do with your group, and really family friendly, most of these things.
Right. I agree. I mean, yes, go see the Eiffel Tower in Paris, but once you've seen it, the next time you go, maybe it's time to, one of your favorite things, get off the beaten path.
Oh, yeah. Find some of those hidden gems that so many influencers talk about, right? So let's start in San Francisco. San Francisco is an international city. Around the world, people know it. They flock to it. It has millions and millions of visitors every single year. But there are a few things right off the bat that people flock to, and because you'll go down to these places and there's a ton of people. Again, I think you should do them once, but after that, come on. You gotta venture out a little bit. And we'll start off with talking about Fisherman's Wharf.
Right. Yeah. It's nice to go see it, but if you're not there to shop and you're not there to eat, there's not a whole lot more to do.
Right. I mean, it's along the waterfront, which people like. But after that, it's basically, mid seafood restaurants, I dare to say. Tons and tons of souvenir shops and street performers.
True. Very true.
And it's right up against number 2 on the list, which is Pier 39. And Pier 39 is where you'll see sea lions, and that's fun the first couple of times. But after you see the sea lions, it's really just kind of kitschy souvenir shops and overpriced places to eat.
Right. The last few times we've gone to San Francisco, we haven't even gone to that part of the city because we used to go down there and go see the sea lions, go walk around Fisherman's Wharf every time. But we found we were just walking around and wandering. We weren't really doing anything. And we'd end up, as you said, eating at some restaurant, paying way more than we would pay somewhere else in the city. So we decided, let's venture away from this area and find something more like what the locals are doing.
Yeah, I mean, because the whole area basically it's like Red Lobster with better views and triple the amount that you're going to pay. One of these things that you can do a little bit, I think it's toward the Mission area of the city, and that's Seaward Mini Park. Now, this is definitely an activity. Okay, because it requires you bringing along supplies. You got to bring along cardboard, like a cardboard box that you can flatten down. Because these Seaward Mini Park is a park that's tucked away in this little neighborhood by itself. It's a quiet residential place around Castro, okay? But they have two very steep, no frills, concrete slides that you put the cardboard down and you slide down these things. I mean, I don't want to say Mach 3, but you're at least going to hit Mach 2. Okay.
So I've seen these slides. We have never done it personally, but you do come off of them rather fast, and you don't come off like on the ground. You come off a couple of feet off the ground, and you fly for a few seconds before you hit the ground. So be aware, it's not a gentle slide down the hill.
It's really not, but it's so much fun, right? You see people doing it because these were built in the 70s when people still had a backbone.
There were no rules.
There were no rules. The city was still letting neighborhoods design their own parks. That is a thing of the past. Now they have very stringent rules, but this is one of those old parks that kind of remains. So if you want something to do and you're young and you have cartilage in your knees.
This just reminds me, was it Boston and the cop on the slide a few years ago that went viral?
We passed by that place too.
We did.
Oh my gosh, I love that video. Another thing, speaking of cartilage and knees, right? Another thing to do to kind of get you away from everything, but still doing the things that you want to do, especially those like postcard moments, is renting a bike. Renting a bike down by like the shorelines and crossing the Golden Gate Bridge.
Right. I would love to do this. There's so many places to rent bikes down there.
Absolutely.
And we talk about it every time we're down there, and we have not had the guts to do it. But
Or the time.
That is another factor, because the Golden Gate Bridge is very long, especially if you're biking.
But they do have more like electric bikes nowadays, like, you know, those city bikes and sometimes Uber and these places, they'll have bikes and things like that. But you can rent a bike, cross the Golden Gate, okay, which is iconic in itself. But once you get across the Golden Gate, you take a left. I mean, after the traffic and safely and all that, don't just go across the. I'm getting people hit by cars. But you go to like Battery Spencer and the Marin Headlands. And this is where you're going to find that iconic shot from like the headlands and the Battery looking across Golden Gate into the city. That's on all the postcards and at the beginning of all the shows and movies. That's where that famous viewpoint comes
I've never been over there. And all the times that we've gone to San Francisco, I've never crossed Golden Gate Bridge.
Well,
we need to do it.
Finally, if you want like a free museum that has like antique arcade games, mechanical fortune tellers, bizarre animatronics, something a little bit different, Musée Mécanique. Musée Mécanique is, they have coin operated animatronics and like 100-year-old baseball games and things like that inside this really fascinating museum that is just kind of a little bit different, and it
sounds like it's haunted.
It's
I don't know, you just say animatronics and
you think Chuck E. Cheese, aren't you?
No, I'm thinking like, what is that? The Freddy movie that just came out a couple of years ago where all the animatronics are haunted.
Oh my God. Also that. You could go there and you could come home with something. It might be a demon. We don't know. But it's well worth it. You should try it out. So if you're not going to almost die on the slides or bike across the Golden Gate, you should go to this museum. This is a great start.
Let
to the
us
show.
know if it's haunted.
Yeah,
I'm
let
curious.
us know. Let us know. Send us the bill for the therapy, I guess. Okay, I don't know. I don't know how to transition there. Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We're in Sin City, Las Vegas, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios, trying to give you some alternatives to those tourist trap places, right? Different large cities across the United States. But man, did y'all hear about Pluto? That's messed up, right? We'll get to that later, man. We started out talking about San Francisco, but there's another city we've spent a lot of time in over the last few years, and that's Chicago. And Chicago has some wonderful touristy things to do. One of my favorite things, and I know this is kind of borderline touristy, but like Wrigleyville, going to a Cubs game, that's like iconic Chicago stuff. Grabbing a deep dish pizza
At Pequod's.
from Pequod's.
Yeah.
You know, things like that.
You know,
I recommend doing that.
We've done some great stuff there. We did that river cruise that was like architectural. We learned about a lot of interesting buildings. And yes, it was touristy, but it was still a really cool experience to learn about the city from the boat. You know, we've also gone to the Goose Island Brewery and Tap Room and toured that. Really fun things to do that, yes, are a little touristy, but not so packed with people that you can't enjoy the experience either.
Yeah. And the disclaimer is always try it out once, right? See how you like it. But there's a reason and there's a rhyme to like these crowds, and you go and like, especially Chicago, there's the Bean at Millennium Park and Millennium Falcon, whatever. the Bean cloud sculpture thing. And there's all the famous Chicago stuff, right? But after a while, there's only so many times you can go to like Willis Tower and go to the Sky Deck and pay $30 for the view, right? I mean, and that's where you're going to find the Instagram, I don't know, influencers, models, whatever.
Yeah.
They're all getting the same shot. They're all trying to, you know, like act like it's their first time. Oh, look at me. They're all doing the peace signs and all that stuff. Same thing with like Navy Pier, where it's on the lakefront. It is a nice place. It's an entertainment complex with rides and shops and food and stuff like that. But also it's carnival food and it's inflated prices.
That's what I was going to say. It feels like you're walking around like a state fair.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a Temu Disneyland. Okay. But you're not paying quite Disneyland prices, but it's close.
Right. Okay. I mean, it's a fun atmosphere, but again, it's, you know, there's better things to do.
And we've walked the, I think, Magnificent Mile with the tourist shops and like, you know, on Michigan Avenue, and you do all of that kind of stuff, but let's offer up some alternatives and it gets you out a little bit. The first place I like to recommend is the Garfield Park Conservatory.
Oh, it's beautiful. It is beautiful.
It's huge and it is stunning. And I don't use that word often in a serious capacity. Usually I'm making fun of places. But it is a beautiful greenhouse conservatory, and it's free to get in.
It's open year-round because it's under glass, but it's 10 acres of gardens that you can walk through. And they have like educational programs. It's just a really lovely place to be. And I know some people are like, I'm not really into flowers, but, you know, when it's hot or it's raining, this is a great alternative.
Yeah, especially those kind of days. You know, and in that kind of vein is if you go to Jackson Park, and inside Jackson Park is the Garden of the Phoenix, which sounds awesome. That could be a great book title.
That is a great book title.
Garden of the Phoenix, which is actually a like Japanese peace garden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a Japanese-style garden hidden right there inside Jackson Park, which was built for the 1893 World's Fair. So, you know, cherry blossoms in the springtime, koi ponds in the summer, and a lot of history. Again, like a lot of places you'll find in Chicago, entry free.
Right.
Fee free. There you go. Entry fee free. Thanks to endowments and different things. As far as that's concerned,
I feel like Chicago has a lot of free options,
like Lincoln Park Zoo.
Exactly. Yeah. It can get a little crowded, but you and I have both walked through there, and for a free park, it was very well maintained. There were a lot of animals, and it didn't feel, the days we went, it didn't feel overly crowded. Now, I'm sure if you go on like that perfect sunny day in the summer, it's probably going to be packed, but it's a really nice free experience, and Chicago has a lot of those.
Which is great, which I think Chicago is, despite its size, and it's our third largest city here in the United States, I think a lot of times, especially lately, over the last 10 years, it's gotten a really bad rap. A lot of bad news coming out of there, it seems. Chicago, to me, still ranks up as one of my favorite larger cities to visit.
Me too.
Just because there's so much, and it's so varied.
Right.
And the things that you can do, whether you like to shop and if you're there to eat or whatever you're looking for, it's like they have it, and they have it in spades, and it's a good old time.
Absolutely. It's a sports city. Like you said, it's a shopping city. There's food, there's music, there's tons of history there. I mean, if you like to do history tours, Chicago is a place for you to go.
And that architecture.
The architecture tour was really cool. It was one of those things I was like, I don't know about this. But by the end of it, I was like, I'm glad we did that.
And then like underground, speaking of shops and doing things like this. So a lot of people that are outside of the area don't know that there is a 40-block like network of tunnels and kind of bridges that connect to a bunch of different places underneath downtown Chicago. And that's the Chicago pedestrian way, right?
I've heard of this, but I didn't know exactly where it was. But I know several people who have done this, and they said it's a really cool experience.
And it's not just like just send you down there to explore by yourself. I recommend a tour. They actually have guided tours, different companies. You can go to Viator or some of these reputable companies, get a guided tour of these network of tunnels and everything to learn the history of the underground system. You see, they'll take you by hidden art installations, old signage from the city, like really quirky things that they have that only they know about and can show you. That way, it's a little bit something, especially the days that are maybe warmer or it's inclement weather outside or something like that. It takes you underground, you're dry, and you're learning something or you're doing something fun.
Seeing a part of the city most people probably
that
never
most
see.
People just miss.
Right.
And then you still can pop up, from underground and go get a deep dish pizza somewhere. Right. Or go find some awesome, brats or something.
And like you said, the city has a lot of really cool free things. And we've been lucky enough to be there when they're doing Art on the Mart. It's the light show they do on the side of the merchandise mart. We've been there when they had like a sailing regatta, and they lift all the drawbridges on the river through the city, and the sailboats went through there. So we've seen some really fun things just that are happening when we're there. So if you're going to Chicago, find out what's happening that weekend.
Or famously like St. Patrick's when they dye the river green, or they do the rubber ducky drop.
Rubber ducky, yeah.
Rubber ducky regatta. All kinds of fun stuff. I love Chicago. Unskilled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unskilled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
For all of our past episodes, interviews, things like that, check us out, unskilledtravelshow.com. Also, our YouTube channel. That's a thing. A lot of very different stories than what we do here on the show. But we have fun with that, too, and I think you'll find it interesting.
As you like to say, every place has a story, and we like uncovering them.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of these could probably fit right into it. I mean, and we shift our focus back to the West Coast and Los Angeles when we're talking about avoiding tourist trap areas and alternate things you can do. Some of the things we're going to get into, we'll spend the next couple of minutes here. I think you can find a lot of interesting. I mean, LA itself is just a really interesting city.
Right.
It has a deep history, and it's known the world over. Most people probably know it for Hollywood, and like the Golden Age and different things, which has different levels of stories and different things like that you'll find interesting along the way. But there are tourist traps that you can fall into and only see really one side of the city. So, I mean, and those are the usual things, like the Walk of Fame, the Star, Walk of Fame, where you see your favorite movie stars of yesteryear and today.
Right. Which we've done it. We've walked the Hall of
Do
Fame.
it once.
Or the Walk of Fame.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's farther than you think it's going to be. And it's not just a straight line. It goes, it turns, and there's different pieces to it. So, and the thing I noticed was a lot of the older stars have, a lot of the older celebrities have multiple stars on the Walk of Fame. So it kind of got a little bit repetitive too. But every now and then we'd come across one that we're like, oh, that's a cool one. And we'd take a picture of it. But it can get a little bit sketchy, I'll say. Some of the neighborhoods it's in is not the greatest, and then it is very touristy. People are walking,
and like with any tourist heavy area, you're going to find the people who are trying to make their money off of tourists. So it's usually the people that are I'm not going to say scam, but they are dressed up in costume, or they are trying to sell you knickknacks that fell off the back of the bus or the truck, or you're just going to end up in places you don't really want to be because you're not comfortable. You don't know the area and things like that. So, that's where the Walk of Fame, but I think the fourth time you see a Godzilla star, and that's a true thing, I think you're like, okay, I get the gist of this.
I'm good. I've seen Mickey Mouse's star a few times.
I took a picture of Mickey Mouse's, Walk of Fame star, and I'm good. And also that kind of goes hand in hand with places like the Chinese Theater, which is cool if you can do one of the tours, or if they're having a movie premiere there. They still have tons of movie premieres at the TCL Chinese Theater. But most of the time you're going to be standing outside looking at, the places where the stars put their hands in the concrete, and, you'll see some stars that go back to the golden age of Hollywood and even the silent era and things like that. But for the most part, it's kind of just overrun with tourist heavy things. Yeah.
You're looking down at the ground, and so is everybody else around you. And you're all trying to take pictures and videos of John Wayne's footprints. So it's like, okay, well, once you spend 10 minutes there, you're kind of done. So what do you do with your time instead?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the places we haven't been to, but I've read about this place multiple times, is the Hollywood Sculpture Garden. The Hollywood Sculpture Garden is tucked away kind of in the Hollywood Hills, but it has 150 sculptures by local and international artists. So it's free, but it's by appointment only.
Oh, interesting.
So you can go absolutely free, but you got to make an appointment so someone can meet you there and let you in. And sometimes a lot of people know that if you make it, if luck happens to be on your side, then you can almost have the entire place to yourself to see something that most people, even locals, don't have an opportunity to see, and that's the Sculpture Garden.
Really? I didn't realize it was by appointment only, because I know we've talked about it a few times, and it just never, I think it was always too late to go out there, but that's interesting. I didn't know that.
It's been featured in like Atlas Obscura and different places that think of, that call it like Hollywood's Zen Garden place. So you can absolutely make a note of that. But if you can't, there are public places like the Bronson Canyon / Bronson Caves, which are famous. They're in Griffith Park, which is the big famous park up there with the Griffith Observatory. I also made a video about that on YouTube. Yeah, shameless plug.
If you want to know the real story, go watch the video on our YouTube.
It's scandalous.
It is scandalous.
But this is like the classic Batman filming location inside of Griffith Park. And there's been countless productions, and these are caves that are open to the public and tunnels that are open to the public where you can go and take all the little Instagram photos and videos that you want. But it's way less traffic than a lot of these other places, and you get some shots and some experiences that most people miss when they visit LA.
Right. And one of the other things I love about this part of LA is so many of the buildings there have been used in movies and TV shows that if you just walk around and you really look at the places, you start seeing like, oh, I remember that from this movie. Or we went to a diner that on the wall had all these different pictures from movies it was in. It was just kind of a neat experience to put you in the set.
Yeah. I mean, that's LA in a nutshell right there. You can just find, turn a corner.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're like, oh man, this was in a movie. Yeah, absolutely. It probably was. You're probably in one now. You don't even realize it. So it's kind of just one of those things of searching LA and finding those places. And even very quickly before we go here, like the Veleslavoce panorama.
I'm proud of you for saying that.
I don't know if I said that right, but most people call it like the Vel. So it's like a 360-degree painted panorama paired with an immersive theater. It's really the only one of its kind in the U.S., but it's an illusion place.
Neat. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, before we go to break real fast, yay or nay on Rodeo Drive?
Unless you are buying something on Rodeo Drive, it's just a street with a lot of expensive shops that most of the time you can't get into. In fact, baseball player Jose Altuve just got turned away from a shop. So he's got $300 million. Unskilled Travel Show will be right back.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hi.
Hi.
You make fun of the way I say hello.
We're talking about fun alternatives to the tourist traps that you can find in large cities in the U.S. We're talking about L.A. right now. L.A.'s so big, we kind of had to split it up into two segments. I think it's only fair. There's so much to do. But there's also so many things that you can fall, like tourist traps you can fall into. And before you know it, your time's gone, your money's gone, and you've really only seen certain parts of the city. And if you're not careful, you'll come back and you'll do it all over again.
Right, yeah.
And sometimes that's okay. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes it's okay. You can hop on one of the big buses that takes you around the city. Like you mentioned Beverly Hills, Rodeo Drive.
Yeah.
Which is a thing because most people... if you're in the United States, even other parts of the world, you've probably grew up on movies that always feature Rodeo Drive and Beverly Hills and how swanky it is. And this is home to the stars and things of that nature. But once you get there, I don't know what I expected the first time we went. But I was like, well, unless you're rich, there's not much to do because you can't go to any of the houses. I mean, you can.
Right.
You can stand outside of Brendan Fraser's house, but he's not going to let you in. In fact,
I mean, to me, we walked a little bit through like the main roads of Beverly Hills and it was pretty. But there's only a couple of streets that have that iconic palm tree lined look that you think of when you imagine Beverly Hills. So that was a little bit disappointing to me. And then as you were saying before we went to break, Rodeo Drive is just a street with a lot of really expensive stores on it, most of which you have to have an appointment to even be let in the door. So you can walk up and down the street and take photos of, the Chanel store or any of these other stores, but they also have security guards outside. They won't even let you very close to the door.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, they could smell the pour on me. Those guys in suits standing out in the 100-degree weather, they weren't even playing around, man. They wouldn't even smile at you. They were just like, absolutely not.
Right.
Hide your money, y'all. There's poor people around. They were just shooing us off. And I was like, I'm just taking a picture. So you take your pictures of the signage so you can show your grandmama or whoever cares to, I don't know who we take these pictures for anyway. Anymore, right?
For your Instagram.
Yeah. So all 12 of your followers can be like, ooh, that's great. Anyway, so you do things like that. You do Beverly Hills. Go to it once, check it out. And even places like Santa Monica. Okay. You can take the bus down to Santa Monica and go to the pier, and that's where they have the Ferris wheel, and you'll have that fun, but it's a little bit overpriced. Okay. They upcharge you on everything, just like any, I don't know, seaside carnival would. I don't know.
Right.
But do it once. But after that, okay, you got to find something else to do. So that's where the secret world of LA kind of comes to life. And they have things like the secret staircase walks. And so what is this? Yes, I know you're asking, so I will answer. So there are historic stairways around like Echo Park, even in Hollywood, that once connected streetcars. But now, since streetcars and things like that have moved on from the city, we're talking over the last 100 years, now they have tours and groups that go on these urban hikes through these architectural and cinematic history spots throughout the city. And they are literally these iconic staircases that you can find from like film sets and some of your favorite movies and secret like vistas and, TV lore and things like that.
To me, this is an incredible thing to do if you are into photography.
Yes.
Or if you are, again, into architecture and things like that, because you will have an eye that appreciates the beauty of these staircases. And all of them are a little bit different.
And again, if you go to like a reputable company like Viator or some of these other places that have the like guided walking tours, they'll give you the history, they'll give you the stories and the breakdowns and the little things, nuances that maybe if you search long enough on Google, you might find, but for the most part, it's going to stay hidden to you until it's revealed in these little tours and everything, which is well worth it if you like that sort of stuff. Which
we do.
Who doesn't? I'm a man of a certain age. I like that kind of stuff. Same way with the sunken city. The sunken city around San Pedro. Okay. I'll explain. Good. Thank you for asking, Amy. These are
we do like our ruins. Let me say that.
The sunken city are cliffside ruins, okay, of 1920s homes that were kind of washed into the sea thanks to a landslide that happened when else in the 1920s, right? So now graffiti and it's like ruins, and even though it's technically closed to the public, that never stops anyone in LA from doing anything.
Right.
And you can, go visit these ruins. And again, like if you are into photography and the history and the things like that, and like the atmosphere and the vibes of it, you're going to find something really fun and really LA embedded in everything that you can take away that other people won't get because they stay.
Right. And it's right there on the water too. So you're not only seeing this really cool part of the city's history, but you're also right there on the Pacific Ocean. And for some people, this is a big country. They've never seen the ocean before. And yes, California has a ton of beaches. A lot of them are packed with people. This is going to be one of those spots where if you just want to sit and look at the beautiful water and the waves, this is a great spot to do it.
Absolutely. It's one of those kind of, how do you describe it? Like hauntingly beautiful.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Because it does have this sad history and people did lose their lives, but now it's like this kind of part of the city that for whatever reason, I've never looked up why they've never like reclaimed this part of the city and built it up again. Or I don't know if there's someone who owns the land is just sitting on it or something.
I don't know, but
I have no idea.
It does say that it's a weekly occurrence that fire and police are called out there to save people who get hurt on the ruins or who fall off of them. So if you go out there, just be careful.
Okay. So tell them we sent you. And we also sent you down some concrete slides in San Francisco as well. Because that's apparently what this episode is about. Putting you in harm's way so you don't do touristy things. Haven't we taught you anything? You should know by now. It's On Scale Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Unscaled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with my co-host and co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We're in beautiful Sin City, Las Vegas in the Diamondback Land Studios. Yeah, check us out. Unscaledtravelshow.com. We're talking about avoiding those tourist traps and some alternatives to those tourist traps. There are travelers, okay, and we've done this for a while now, and this show in particular has been on for 3 seasons, and we run into travelers all the time that are very anti anything touristy. If it has anything to do with tourists, they are like, they throw up their hands and like, I don't want to do anything touristy. I am of the opposite. I like to do touristy stuff sometimes.
Right.
And I know that it might put me in the minority in our community, in our little travel community, but there's a reason the popular stuff is popular. You know, some of it's fun and some of it is iconic.
And that's what I was going to say. I feel like when you're traveling to a place for the first time and it has these iconic things, you have to go see it. You have to go do it.
Yeah.
And the first thing on this list that, yes, is a tourist trap, but if you've never been to New York and you finally go, you have to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the Empire State Building.
Absolutely. Everyone should go visit the Empire State Building at least once. Okay. And same with the Chrysler Building. Mm-hmm. Do these things at least one time. Get it out of your system, but it is decidedly New York. Okay. Now, locals maybe, they might roll their eyes or whatever because they're with it every single day, and it's
they work at the Empire
they
State Building.
probably do, and they're so sick of you. Let me tell you right now, if you are wondering, let me clear up that they are sick of you. They're sick of me. But do it once, get it out of your system. But let me tell you now, I mean, it's $40+ to go up to different levels of the deck, which every time they add more and more fees. And then extra fees on top of the fees.
Yeah.
It's all getting very, very ridiculous, right? To do these things. So do it once.
And there's so many people up there. It's hard to actually get that great front row view of the city.
You have to have patience.
It's not a big deck you walk on, and there can be 2 and 3 people deep all the way around.
And everyone's trying to do the photo shoot and take a million pictures.
There was actually a photo shoot up there the last time we went, remember? Mm-hmm. Some photographer was up there with a lady doing a photo shoot, and they had this whole corner blocked off, and it's like, okay, so...
I don't think they even rented it. Like, I think they were just telling people.
doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And the same goes, and this is one's a little bit different because it's changed so much over the years, but Times Square. Times Square is one of these places that is... well known because of film and TV. Dude, you go there and it's basically just, it's overstimulation.
So I had never really been to Times Square before. I've seen it when I was in the city and going somewhere. But when I was in the city last month, my boss and I were in a taxi and we ended up driving down Times Square at night. And I could have sworn I was driving down the Strip in Vegas.
Yeah.
It felt exactly the same.
A lot of the very same shops. There's Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. There's all of that stuff. And it's almost laid out exactly the same, too. It looks like driving down the Strip. Exactly.
It did. People everywhere. You had all the little street vendors in costumes trying to get you to pay $5 for a photo.
Yeah.
It was just insanity and just the flashing neon lights everywhere. And I was like, I feel right at home and I want out of here.
I don't like this. Not at all. One thing you could do, and I think a lot of people miss, is visiting Roosevelt Island. Roosevelt Island is one of those little islands. It's in the middle of the East River. I think that's the right river, right? East River. But there's a tram. It's a cable car that goes over the East River from Manhattan to the island. And you can pay for it on a Metro card. I think it's like $2.90 right now.
Yeah.
But you get skyline views. You pass over the water. And then once you get to the island, you get the parks. You get a little bit of history. And most importantly, I think you get some quiet. Because it's such a stimulating city.
Yeah, it really is. And I have seen some crowds at the like trying to get onto the tram. So depending on the day or the time, it could be crowded, but it's not always like that. And something else that I think people neglect to realize can be a great way to see the city. Instead of paying for one of those really pricey dinner cruises around Manhattan, take the ferry. It's a couple of dollars a person. There's multiple stops. You can get on, get off. You can go from Manhattan to Brooklyn to, I believe, Staten Island. There's several different places, and it's a good way to see the city from the water without paying that huge ticket price that you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Because people will come in from outside of the city and they'll want to like try to charter a boat or get on something nice. And they'll see the ads and they'll get served the ads on their phones and everything. But look, just take the ferry.
Yeah. You can buy tickets at most of the ferry terminals.
There you go.
Or there's an app. I think it's NYC Ferry app. And you can, kind of like a Metro card, buy so many rides for the week and hop on and hop off.
It's the best thing. Hop on, hop off. See the city from the water, especially in the evening time. You get the lights and, you want those looks. That's what you're going for. That's a good way to do it. And same, like you said, it's a good point that the Roosevelt Island tram can get crowded at times, but it's not always that way. And you'll end up with some great photos as you head over to Roosevelt Island. Another one is the Untermeyer Gardens, which is a public garden in Yonkers. And it has Persian-inspired architecture, fountains, and you get views of the different river, the Hudson River. So it's free entry. It has a pretty quick, I want to say quick because there's nothing quick in the city, but quick train ride from the city and one of the more stunning landscapes in the region. And again, there's that stunning word. I don't like to use that too often, but you do get a very beautiful landscaped area that's a little bit different than everything else in the concrete jungle.
Right, because people talk about going to Central Park, and yes, it's beautiful and it's huge, but you and I have walked through it a couple of times. Yeah. There's usually a lot of people there. It's a popular place because it is this massive park in the middle of a skyscraper city. Yeah. So you want to look for the places that are a little less obvious to really get away from that hustle and bustle, you like to say.
Yeah. Same with in that general area, the Elevated Acre is sort of in that same vein. It's a hidden rooftop park in the financial district. It's actually around the corner from one of our favorite taverns, Francis's Tavern, where General Washington said goodbye to his generals at the end of the Revolutionary War.
And if you ever wanted to know what our YouTube channel was about,
there you go.
That's it right there.
But it's right around the corner from that. And it's kind of, it has the secluded seating, East River views, where a lot of locals kind of take a quiet break from the chaos of the city. And they just, take a moment to breathe and everything. It's right there in the Elevated Acre. I'll even say, we've talked about before, we've had entire episodes on, say, the Met. Mm-hmm. Right there in Central Park. The Met is a place that on certain days, especially weekends, can be way crowded and way overstimulating. And there's a lot of people there. But there are a lot of people that live in New York that have the annual passes to the Met. Mm-hmm. And it's so big.
Yeah.
And it's, just so massive. Like you can just go and find a little quiet corner in the Met. Right. And kind of get away from the loudness of the city.
Yeah, like the process to get into the Met and to get through the ticketing area, it was crowded. But once you are past that and into the actual museum, it is so big that it doesn't feel like you're in there with a mass of people.
Yeah, absolutely. I know the people that live there and they have those annual passes. They have a dedicated line. They just get to walk in, walk out, swipe their badge or whatever. But man, it's worth it. There's a lot of stuff. We could almost do an entire show on New York about different things, right? Or is everything in New York a tourist trap? I don't know. We'll debate during the break. Unscaled Travel Show. Be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unskilled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with, what's your name? Amy.
Hello.
We're in Las Vegas, and now it's time to talk about Las Vegas. I don't want to ever make it seem like we're picking on a city anywhere else, because Lord knows we live in
the biggest tourist trap. USA. And this, I think, is an appropriate place to kind of end the episode, because everything in this city, I mean, you talk about a city that is designed for tourists. Yes.
It really is. And that's why I think we handle tourism better than most cities. And man, right now we're taking a whipping, an economy whipping, right? And we'll get to why we are. And it's based on never one thing. It's always just a series of things. But like when you have $18 bottles of water
Yes.
in the hotels on the Strip, that is part of it. The other part is like, basically, I think people outside of our area, they don't realize that the Strip, the world famous Strip, is basically owned by two companies. Mm-hmm. That is MGM Resorts and Caesars Entertainment. They
Right.
own most of the hotels on the Strip.
Yeah.
So when you have these two hotels or these two entertainment companies or whatever you want to call them, resort companies that own the majority of the property on the Strip, they're basically, and you can't call it collusion for libel reasons. You can't get sued because I don't have the money to fight MGM or Caesars, but they don't really fight each other. Like the
True.
way that when consumers win because they're trying to get the best prices and the best deals, you know, you end up two companies that have the same resort fees, same table rules, and same prices that are eerily similar to each other and are all equally bad. The
can't
consumer
win.
doesn't win. The
Right.
tourist doesn't win.
Right. So I would say if you're coming to Vegas because you want to gamble, go away from the Strip. And I don't mean to downtown Fremont. I mean, get out of that part of the city, because there are casinos around the city in neighborhoods, and we call them locals casinos, but that's where we go when we want to gamble.
Absolutely.
And I guarantee you're going to get more bang for your buck out there, and you might win more because it's not exactly rigged against you like the Strip is.
Yeah.
They want people to come back, so you're more likely to win a little.
Yeah. If gambling is your thing, a lot of these things are they're designed. And then there are like one-off experiences that are designed to be one-off experiences, like the Sphere. Mm-hmm. That's probably been the most popular thing over the last 2 to 3 years. Just the curiosity around seeing a show at the Sphere. We have friends. Our friend Jane went. I think she went with friends and saw the Eagles.
Yep.
And they said it was phenomenal, but it was definitely a one-off thing because it's so freaking expensive to do.
Yeah.
That you tell your friends and you're like, yeah, I've been there. It's one of those things you kind of check off. So we want to give you at least a few things to do that it's away from the Strip, that gives you a little bit different viewpoint of the city and a little bit of a different story to tell once you leave Las Vegas and go back to Iowa or wherever you're from. So around Old Vegas,
Beaumont, Texas.
If you are downtown, if you lost a bet and you're downtown in Las Vegas, check out the Mob Museum. Check out the Neon Museum. They're pretty close to each other, maybe a few blocks away from each other, but it's two downtown museums within walking distance where the Neon Museum preserves, restores, and lights up the old iconic signs from the Rat Pack and the Stardust era.
It's really neat.
It's really neat.
Yeah.
And they have tours that you can do.
They have tours, and then the signs, some of the signs that they have restored are actually on Fremont Street, but not under the canopy part. It's farther down. So you get a little bit away from the Fremont crazy, and you'll see some of the signs that they've restored that are now back in action. But it is a really cool place. And they, I believe, aren't even really open during the day because it is so hot. They open in the evening. Yeah. So that you can actually see the signs that they're restoring come to life.
And when they light those signs up in the evening, I mean, it's really, really magical because they're eye level. Most of these things are on the ground or pretty close near it. And it's kind of a wonder. You're like, wow, I didn't realize these things were so big.
Yeah.
And then you see signs from old TV shows and movies that you'll know and see and understand, like from the era when Elvis was king here and Frank Sinatra and all of that. And it's really something to behold.
And whenever they have a new sign that they've just finished restoring and they're going to light it for the first time, they have a big ceremony.
Yeah.
So if you're lucky enough to be here for one of those, definitely go down there because it's a little bit special to be part of that.
The other one is the Mob Museum. The Mob Museum is exactly what it sounds like, right? It's about the city's organized crime roots and has all these interactive exhibits. But most people, I think, know Las Vegas and they're like, ooh, Al Capone and Bugsy Siegel and all these guys like that. Well, this kind of takes you into the like deep dive into the history of the city. And it's very, very interesting. And even the ties to, again, entertainment, the movie Casino and Goodfellas and all of these things. Boom.
My favorite part is the basement, the speakeasy, and all the ties back to Prohibition. Yeah. It's such an interesting time in our history. And then they also have an old moonshine distillery that you can tour and taste moonshine if you want to do that.
When don't you? 9 a.m.? Yes, they will serve you all the moonshine that you want.
And there are hidden rooms in the speakeasy. Walk around and see if you can find the hidden rooms too.
Find one of our old episodes on the Mob Museum and we spill some secrets on it. A lot of people, again, when they think of Vegas, they think of that Mob Museum kind of era. They think of the Rat Pack and Elvis, but they would be surprised to understand that Las Vegas, for the longest time before the mob showed up, was a cowboy town. Right. It was definitely a ranch town, and there are a lot of fun things you can do out in the Mojave Desert, besides just walking off into the desert, where you can basically rent like an ATV or a UTV, or the four-hoofed kind. You can get on top of, I don't know.
A horseback?
Get on top of a horse.
Yes, I have done this with our daughter.
I lost my way here.
We did do one of the trail rides a couple of years ago, and it was really neat. I do recommend not doing it in the middle of summer.
Yes.
Fall and spring are much better times to do it. But if you've never ridden a horse, it can be jarring to your back. So just FYI, you may be walking weird when you're done.
You're talking to a certain sector of our listeners right
to
there.
Our demographic.
Like, you're going to stretch.
My back hurt for like a week after that.
They have ones that also... They also have the horseback rides where at the end of it, they'll serve you a cowboy steak dinner under the stars. You'll be out in the Mojave Desert with your horse companion eating a steak dinner, talking about how bad your back hurts. I mean, that's fun. And there are certain stops where you can see the city lit up in the evening time. So you still get the iconic look and the landscape of it. But at the same time, you could tell everybody how, oh, Lord, back when I had cartilage, this was a different time, And we have had episodes where we've talked about north of the city, the Valley of Fire.
Oh, beautiful.
Valley of Fire is a state park that, as much love as it gets from locals and people around the region, I still think it flies under the radar with most people. Mm-hmm. And they don't realize how beautiful the state park is. It's one of Nevada's oldest and is, I dare say, the most colorful state park that we have.
Yeah, it is gorgeous. There's a lot of history out there too. Mm-hmm. They have different trails where you can see, what are they? They're not called hieroglyphics, petroglyphics.
Petroglyphs.
Yeah. It's really neat. I do also recommend not to do this in the middle of summer. We did that one year, and we'll never do that again. This is a fall and spring activity, but there's also wildlife out there. We've seen big horned sheep out there and elk and all kinds of stuff. And they have, if you're a camper, they have a campground on site in the state park, so you can stay right there on the property.
That's awesome. That really is. And finally, if you want to go south of the city, we were just north, you can go south. If you've never been to Hoover Dam, go to Hoover Dam. That's cool. But around Hoover Dam, there is a biking/hiking route through the historic railroad tunnels that lead up to the Hoover Dam. It's called Railroad Tunnel Trail. you should check it out. They have bike rental places, or if you want to hike it, again, don't do it in the summertime. What are you, crazy? What's wrong with you? But I recommend doing it or they have guided tours.
Yeah.
As well of that area. But again, the Railroad Tunnel Trail, check it out. They'll give you all kinds of history, all kinds of fun. We hope we helped you out. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. We'll see you guys next time, right? Of course. All right, so let's talk about Pluto.